Shalom, guys. Welcome to the gates of Mordehay and sweet and good Torah. Right? Did I say it right?
You got it. You got it.
Okay, good. Um, Today we're going to have a very interesting topic related to July 4th. Okay, you might think like, what's going on July 4th? Anything explosive happening, but not really. We're going to connect it to
Well,
because if
there is 200 rockets and drones coming from Hezbollah today on Israel. So it's
oh, there is something
little
exploding.
little explosive over there today. Yeah.
Okay, good. I see. Okay, so we have a connection. Uh, July 4th, 1776. The Hebrew calendar date of that day is the 17th of Tammuz. And the 17th of Tammuz is significant in Jewish history because that's when Moshe came down the mountain with the tablets of the Ten Commandments. And he saw that the Jews made a golden calf and he broke it. And basically, we're being punished to this day. Every generation gets punished a little bit every generation for the sin of the golden calf. Now, while Moshe was in heaven speaking with God, God said to him, "Go, leave, because your nation has strayed." So Moshe said, "My nation and not your nation, God." And God told him, "Yeah, it's the nation that you brought out of Egypt that was called the Erev Rav. They are the mixed multitudes of converts that joined the people of Israel, the original Jews, and they made up actually more than the original Jews. And so they are the ones who weren't fully converted. They had in their hearts, some wayward tendencies. And we're going to see that they actually caused a lot of troubles in the 40 years of wandering in the desert. And so it's very important to identify who they are because the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, says that in the final generation, which we're coming close to that, they will be
Or
reincarnated.
there.
Where they will be reincarnated as the leaders, the forefront of the Jewish people. But again, it's very important to remember that they are not the original Israelites, the children of Yaakov, who is called Israel, who left Egypt. They are not. They're just connected in a sense. So
All right, so yeah, I said before we go in, so we're going to go into the Zohar HaKodesh, the Holy Zohar. I would just say, right, it's a confusing time. First thing, it's kind of a secret. It's more the Torah Nister. It's the secrets of Torah. A lot of people don't know so much about the Erev Rav. It's becoming a more popular topic. It's also very confusing because we don't really have total clarity exactly who's the Erev Rav, who's not. I mean, there's Jewish people that just, were raised, in public school and just don't have a big background in Torah. So they're just like not familiar with the Torah as much. And then we have like Gerei Tzedek, we have like very righteous, converts that have come into, the Jewish people over Jewish history. And this is really talking about the ancient converts that came out of Egypt with us in the days of Moshe. There's a couple opinions. One opinion is that they're a mixed multitude of all the different nations because Egypt was the major empire back then. And there's an opinion that there are different degrees of like sorcery. So like sorcery, all the secret societies of sorcery, they work by degrees, and the higher degree, the higher they are in their practice of sorcery. That's the Erev Rav. We're going to go in the Zohar, and we're going to see the five groups of the Erev Rav, and it's going to be fireworks. It is explosive. All right, let's jump right in here. You want to take it away?
now I'll let you take this one.
Okay, so it says, and basically it says v'chamesh meaning inun be'erev rav. There's five groups. So the groups, the Zohar is teaching us, the groups are, one group's called the Nephilim, which really means like the fallen ones, the Giborim, which means like the mighty ones, the Anakim are one of the names of the giants. The Rephaim, it says here shades in their translation here. I really think it means more of like weak. It's like it's the Hebrew
Yeah.
word lashon hakodesh of like weakness, like loose, weak. And then the Amalekis, the Amalekim, which is interesting because there's the external Amalek from Edom, from the descendants from the children of Esau. So then it's going to go very Kabbalistic, but it's going to talk about Bilam and Balak, who are these two sorcerers. And the Zohar is teaching us here something interesting. It's saying that they come from Amalek. And so if you see what the Zohar teaches us to do here is that we take the last two letters, the ayin mem from Bilam, and we combine it with the last two letters of Balak's name, we get the name Amalek. And then what the letters that are left with, we're left with Beis, Lamed, Beis, and they're the word Bavel, which means confusion or Babylon. And that's, do you want to comment on this or?
Yeah. So these guys are called the Amalekim, right? So there's five groups. The group that's called the Amalekim is the group that's going to try to unite, have a one world government against a god, so to speak. Just like the people of Babylon, they built a tower, the Tower of Babel, and they tried to go against God and fight with him, right, so to speak. And so anybody who's in this camp is going to want to try to have a one world government and cause the nations of the world to sin and go against from God.
Yeah, so I think this group, like this group of the Amalekim, I think that would be the people that are going around talking about the New World Order and groups like establishment, like United Nations, European Union. So real quick, I just want to read this pasuk from Bereshit, this verse here. It says, "Ki sham balal Hashem safas kol haaretz," and it says that Hashem, he confounded, he confused, like Balal, Bavel. It's related, like mixing up all the languages of the earth, because everyone at that time, they were building the Tower of Bavel, the Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Babel, and they were all united, which is good. But what was bad is they were united against Hashem. And it seems like this whole idea, this new world order, this world government is kind of like this atheist government, united against Hashem. So I'm gonna show you a little proof here. I'm gonna bring a little proof to what we're talking about here. Let me bring this up. This is kind of interesting. So here we see that this was, I believe the artist's name was Brunel, and this is a famous painting of the Tower of Babel. And you'll see some people may say yes, some people say no, but it does seem like the construction of the EU Parliament building is kind of modeled, after this painting, and it's strange. Yeah? Like, why do you want this world government organization? I know it's just uniting Europe, but why do you want this? Why do you want your building to look like the Tower of Babel? Do you have the same objective as the Tower of Babel?
That's pretty striking.
Yeah, it's a little strange there.
A little fishy, a little fishy.
All right, so let's go back into the Zohar, and we'll continue our journey through the Erev Rav. All right, so let's see. So we'll go down here to the next step. This is pretty deep. Yeah, this is pretty.
Yeah, just go to the list. Just go straight to the list.
So this may be a little. This would be a lesson in itself to go through all this kabbalistically. So we'll go to the next step. So the next group is going to be the Nephilim. You want to read this one? You want me to keep going? What do you want to do?
Yeah. The Nephilim, they were the group that they were basically the angels that spoke to God and said, "Oh, if we were down on earth, we could not sin just like men." And basically, God challenged them, and He threw them down into the world and gave them physical desires of men, and they went after the beautiful women. And so these are the group that are going to be chasing after beautiful women, leading us astray, leading the world astray after beautiful women. And beauty is their modus operandi.
Right. So I'd say one of the main things with the first group, the Amalekim, I feel like there is almost like a taiva for power, because people that want to rule over other people, it's not the humility to see that we're all created by Hashem. Hashem's the ultimate power, the infinite being that's created everyone. And I think that, and I think everyone in a sense has to fight against these, traits of the Erev Rav. So that first group is the taiva for power, the desire for power to rule over other people, right? This is the taiva, the desire for physical pleasures of the world. And this is a tricky one, the day and age we live in. So it's interesting. The Zohar teaches us that, right, there was these two angels, Azza and Azael. And it says here, the pasuk says here, it's Vayiru b'nei ha'elokim es benos ha'adam ki tovos hena. So they were telling Hashem, it says like the Zohar teaches it. They were saying like when Hashem said, let us make man in our own image. It says, Nasa Adam B'Tzelmeno. So Hashem was consulting with the Malachim, is consulting with the angels, and he says, let us make man in our own image. And this is very interesting. He says, the Zohar says that he wanted to make him a leader over all. There's a commentary here that says the Malachim above, so that he might govern all the angels and they would be under his rule. And it says here, Vayafked Pekidim al Haaretz. And Joseph, he appointed officers over the land. Now, most people don't have the ability to rule over angels, but very, very, people as elevated in spirituality as like the Avos, like Abraham, Yaakov, Jacob. And we see in the Midrashim that they could actually command Malachim, like they were like what a person should be. And if a person's really created in the Tselem Elokim, like a person, like the angels would help out a person. But there's been so few people at this elevated stature. And so the angels were like, the angels were saying to Hashem, they're saying to God, they were saying, Ma enosh ki sis karenu, like who's man or who's mankind that should even pay attention to him? Like you're this elevated infinite being. Why? Like, why do you want to give mankind the Torah? Why do you care so much about them? And Hashem's response is very interesting. Hashem says, if you were down below, like if you were living on earth, they're saying to these two malachim, you would actually sin more than mankind. And then the pasuk that they saw the daughters, the Bnei Elokim, they saw the daughters of Adam. Literally, it means like the daughters of Adam Arishon, Adam the first man. And they had the taiva. All of a sudden they had desires, for physical pleasure that they never had in Shemayim, they never had in heaven. And it overpowered them. And it says they were filled with passion to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, lowered them down in chains. And it says, and the Zohar says, this is Azza and Azael. And what's interesting, just real quick, Azza, it's interesting, it means strength. It's also the Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew word for Gaza, which is interesting. So they descended, so the people from the Nephilim, the Erev Rav from the Nephilim, they're actually the children. This type of Erev Rav is actually the children of the Nephilim. These Malachim, they came into physical bodies. They had children with women on the earth. And the Zohar is teaching us here that their children in the world are the children of these angels and these women, and the women.
Yeah. So who do you think these are the people that are being reincarnated in this generation?
So this is where it gets really strange. So I give a little bit of disclaimer. I don't know for sure, but it does seem like it's possible that people like a Hugh Hefner, that founded like the Playboy Empire, or like a Jeffrey Epstein that had this like island for like very not good physical desires, very unholy physical desires. And all these things like the porn industry, it's possible that this is the Nephilim. It's possible that they were part of the Nephilim. I mean, we don't know for sure, but
it's definitely if you're going to cause people to stray away from God, it's definitely seems like these are the unholy people that in the name of them being quote unquote Jewish.
And it's right. And so I think, and so one big problem we've had. So I think as you were saying in the introduction, right, on the 17th of Tammuz, we were supposed to receive the Torah, the Luchos, the two sapphire tablets that Moses was going to bring down from Hashem. But the Erev Rav started building the Chet Egel. They started building the golden calf. And that caused this horrible avera. And really, the Chazal, like what it tells us is that our job is to not listen to the Erev, not be influenced by the Erev Rav, not follow after the Erev Rav, try to resist the Erev Rav. Don't listen to their bad teachings. Don't listen to when they teach something that's contradictory to the Torah. And I think what's also very harmful about the Erev Rav is they're perceived by the world and us as part of the Jewish people. And they cause great anti-Semitism. They cause great hatred of the Jewish people, because this is not who the Jewish people are. All these taivas are against what the Torah is saying, and they've caused a lot of damage, right, in Jewish history. You want to do the next group or group?
Okay, so the third group is we got the Giborim, right?
Yeah.
These are the the fakers, so to speak. Like basically, what they do is they build synagogues and yeshivas, and they put Torahs in them, and they put crown on top of the Torahs, and they basically want to do it with their name attached to it. So the synagogue is dedicated in the name of so and so, or the
Yeah.
yeshiva is dedicated in the name of so and so, and they're really not doing it for the sake of God. It's more to to give themselves pride. They're very proud on about what they did,
Yeah.
right? And seemingly they're in the realm of holiness, but their intentions aren't pure.
Yeah, so I mean, this one's a real scary one because, right, they're working in the realm of kedusha, in the realm of holiness. I mean, Gabori means like the mighty ones, but right, it's strange. Like, it's like on the surface. I mean, I don't want to discourage anyone from, giving tzedakah, giving, money to shul. It's obviously like we're supposed to be supporting shuls. We're supposed to be supporting the yeshivas. But right, it just becomes like what I think the trait becomes not as good when someone wants to put their own name, like on the front of the yeshiva, or put their own name in front of the shul, because it's really whose name should be glorified. It should be Hashem's name. This is a house of Hashem. This is, we're studying Hashem's Torah. So it's like this trait, even though it's like Kedusha and it's doing good things and it's doing the mitzvahs, it's a strange trait. Right, so here it gives the proof. Let me see if I find the pasuk real quick. It brings the pasuk. Right, so Hava nivne lanu ir v'nase lanu shem. So the people that were building the tower of Babel, they said like let's come, let us build a city and a tower, and let's make for ourselves a name. Right, not glorifying Hashem's name, like they wanted to make a name for themselves. And this idea of like nase lanu shem is, it's like that's like the Sitra Achra. That's the other side that overcame Israel like the dust of the earth. And they robbed them, shattering their work. And it says, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth. It's a very deep concept here. To make it simpler, I think this is like the taiva for like fame and honor and celebrity. And we see it like so prevalent. Like everyone wants to be, a star, right? Everyone wants to be famous, or that desire for fame. And I think this is that group in the Erev Rav. Like, person wants to be famous, but really, who should be really famous? Hashem. Hashem has created the world. Hashem is giving everyone life. Hashem should be praised. That's one of the main jobs of Jewish people, to praise Hashem's name and not try to make our names great. But once again, everyone, we all have this taiva to some degree. And like, the recipe is being humble. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, who's so famous throughout history, he became famous because of his humility, because he wanted to glorify Hashem in the world. So did Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? They wanted to elevate Hashem in the world, but they become like famous throughout all the generations, because it's interesting, like true humility, true Kedusha really does make someone famous. They make a great name, a Shem Tov. They have a good name throughout the world. But unfortunately, right, that desire for fame and honor, and we see it right now in Parsha Korach so clearly. Korach's like desire for, to make himself great. He may have been in one of the other groups, but his desire to make himself great, undid him. All right, so the next group is the Rephaim.
Right, fine. They're fine. They're the fourth group of Erev Rav, right? And they basically like they abandon the Jews. They abandon the children of Israel, right? And meaning like they have the power to save them, but they don't. They don't do it, right? And they themselves they abandon the Torah and all those who study it, and then instead they do favors to the nations of the world, to the idol worshippers of the world.
Yeah.
So instead of helping their own people, they help everybody else to show how great they are. And meanwhile, the people inside are struggling. I mean, I think we kind of see that today in modern day Israel when there's a disaster around the world. Israel is quick to go out and help the people, the unfortunate ones, with humanitarian aid. But when their people are struggling and can't pay the bills in their own country, they let them go. They don't throw them a line or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I think this one's like it's really sad. It's really destructive. I mean, I think unfortunately, right, we saw, with some of the founders of the secular Zionism that they created a Jewish country, but a Jewish country that wouldn't be based on Torah. And it's sad that doesn't seem like so foreign and like evil and just not Jewish to people. It's sad that we live in an age where to some people it sounds okay, but it's like to be in Eretz Israel, to be in the Holy Land of Israel and have a Jewish nation, but not based on Torah. It's really destructive. I mean, right. Unfortunately, we see it like there's a lot of hatred directed towards the Haredim, like the Jewish people that are very religious in Israel. Right. We see this constant effort to like make peace with enemies as opposed to, helping the Jewish people. And I mean, one thing that I really don't understand. It's been 272 days since the hostages were taken to Gaza, and I think there's around like 129 left, and we don't know how many are still alive. And Bezrat Hashem will see their rescue soon. But I feel like some of the generals have put the Israeli soldiers in such a dangerous position. There seems like there's rules where there's an over concern for Palestinian civilians that are holding Jewish people hostages, and then putting rules on the IDF soldiers that are putting them in an extremely dangerous situation. And unfortunately, it's like a lot of these soldiers have been killed. And I don't, right, I really don't, it's something I do not understand, like the difficulty in rescuing the hostages. It just seems like Israel has like a technological superiority, if there's surveillance they could use and their military technology. And it does seem to be this like need to be on good terms with other nations that are against us. It's that, that don't care about the rescue of the hostages. It's like, this is one of the saddest of them all in some ways. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's this need to please the world as opposed to take care of your own. When the two come in conflict, of course. And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting because it's like, if we liken it to some kind of sporting event or whatever, it's like instead of worrying about your own teammates, you're worried about your opposition. And no team can succeed like that, honestly.
Yeah. And it's Rephaim. It's like it's weakness. It makes us weak. And it seems like, they proclaim themselves strong and this anti-Torah, not wanting Hashem's help. It's that idea of kochi and otzem yadi, like my strength and the strength of my hand, and not seeing that we need Hashem's help. And I don't know, it's just really, right, it's really sad. And Bezrat Hashem, I mean, we'll have freedom from it soon. And the Jewish people are not being hurt by this trait, right? Where we're right, someone seeking power, abandoning the Torah, and not helping other Jews when other Jews, could be saved. I don't know. I don't understand it all, but may it end soon, Right. It says, and it's interesting here. It says so. Right. It says like if they notice a time of distress coming upon Israel, they abandon them, even if they have the power to save them. They don't want to do so. They abandon the
Right.
Torah and those who study it. Instead, they do favors for those like who worship avodah zarah, for those who worship idols. And it says, and the shade of the Rephaim Baal Yakumu, like the shade of the dead will not rise. And here there's a commentary that means that Techiyas Amesim, these Rephaim, they will not come back to life to Techiyas Amesim when Hashem does the resurrection of the dead. And it says here in Yeshaya, so it's saying there's a prophecy. The Zohar says the prophecy against the Rephaim. It says, "Beit kol zecher lamo," and made all their memory to be destroyed, to perish. All right. So moving on, fifth group.
All right, so we have the fifth group, the Anakim. These Anakim, they belittle the value of the Torah. right? They don't see any worth in it and being religious and that kind of stuff, you know. And so and the real power of Israel and the Jewish people is their Torah and their connection to God. And these guys are like the ones who are mocking it and saying we don't need it and let's leave it.
Yeah, and it's in the Zohar saying it can return the world. Like what makes the world exist is the Jewish people learning Torah and doing the mitzvos. Because if not for that, there's no purpose of the world. Hashem created, the world and everything in it and all the people to have a relationship with them. Like he didn't create like 8 billion people and give them life so they could be like, oh, who's Hashem? We don't, for the atheist fantasy, that's not why Hashem created mankind. He wants to be close to his creations, to his children. And this group unfortunately has done also. I mean, all these groups have done massive damage to the Jewish people over the years, but like we really see this in the Maskilim, like the Jews that brought on the Enlightenment, really the Jews in modern Jewish history that really unraveled the Masorah, unraveled the tradition of the Torah and learning Torah and doing the mitzvos. And attacking the Torah, making fun of people that follow the Torah, and it's really a shame. Right, so it says here, this is a pasuk from Mishlei, from Proverbs. It says, "V'anakim legor grosecha," and it's saying like a beautiful chain. Like when we follow the Torah, we have a beautiful chain like around our necks, like this beautiful chain of jewels, and the Torah beautifies us. But it also makes us strong, like the Anakim. It also makes us strong, like giants. Like that's the great lesson of David HaMelech, of King David, when there was the giant Goliath, like the Jewish soldiers of Shaul Melech, of Saul, the first king of Israel, they were afraid to fight this giant. But like King David's main point is like, what makes us strong? What makes us more powerful is Hashem. Hashem's the living God. Hashem is what makes us powerful. And I think, this is also why the Rephaim, are causing so much damage. It's our connection with Hashem that makes us a special people. It's our connection with the Torah that makes us important in world history, because we can teach the wisdom of the Torah, teach the other nations how to connect with Hashem. And then we're powerful. Then we're like giants. Because King David said to Goliath, he says, all I need to defeat you is the name of Hashem.
Yeah, for sure. So I think after going through all these five, we see that the root of what people today, call anti-Semitism, is really the world hating on these five types of quote unquote Jews, who really have their source in the mixed multitude, the Erev Rav, and they just happen to be, amongst the Jewish people and in leadership positions. And so it's like the real people, no one's coming up to the Jews that are practicing, reading of the Torah and, putting on tefillin and keeping the commandments and say, hey, we don't like you, stop doing that. Yeah. Right. It's people who are doing just like really nasty things in society. And that's what people are disgusted by, who look down upon, in whatever way that they look at it, and today we want to label that as anti-Semitism. Yeah. And really it's not, it's anti-Godism.
Yeah, I mean, not to let ourselves totally off the hook, right? I think unfortunately when we give in to these taivas personally, or when we listen to the bad advice of the Erev Rav, then like we did with the golden calf, then unfortunately, then we get tied up in their Ra, and it's interesting. The letters to Erev Rav is Ayin Resh, and if you reverse it, it's Ra. It's the word evil. They're literally like the incarnation of evil, but they're solidly attached to us. We're 10 minutes, our last 10 minutes, right? So, but what you're saying is very true. But I think what really some of the anti-Semitism is because I really think the people of the world, they do read the Torah. The Christians, the Christians have taken the written Torah and made it the first part of the Christian Bible. And I think they want to see the Jewish people that they read about in the Torah, you know? I think they want to see us, they want to see the great people that merit Hashem to do miracles for them. And when they see, unfortunately, right, you know, these horrible actions, these horrible traits, it's like that's not the Jewish people I learned about. You know, that's not Hashem's people, right? And it creates, like you're saying, I think it creates a tremendous amount of anti-Semitism. You know?
Yeah, we look down on these people who speak badly about the Jews who quote unquote rule the Hollywood industry, or that have influential power in banking and all that stuff, and people speak badly about them, and it gets spread out in the world as, oh, these people are anti-Semitic, they're anti-Jewish, but the people that are committing these nasty things in the world, they're not following the ways of the Torah. They're not following the ways that they came out of Egypt. God took us out of Egypt to be we were slaves to Paro. He took us out in order to be slaves to him, right? In order to give us the Torah so that we may keep it, right? It wasn't just to go be do whatever you want in the world and just have fun. And I think a lot of people lost that idea. We were supposed to reiterate it every Passover, every Pesach. We're supposed to reiterate that idea that we were once upon a time slaves, and if God didn't take us out, we'd still be slaves to this day. We didn't have the power to take ourselves out.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, like, why would one human hate another human?
Yeah. Well, it also, I
Right.
mean, it also says in the Haggadah, "V'hi sha'amda," they rise up against us in every generation. So I'm not going to let all the anti-Semites off the hook. You know, I think there are some people that don't like, they don't like some of this, like lack
But
of.
we gotta listen to what they're saying.
Okay.
What are they
Oh, yeah.
saying?
Right.
They're
So
not
that,
saying, "Oh, you're ugly," or "You're the people of the book," and
yeah,
we just don't like you. You're
yeah,
just, you know what I mean? They're not saying that.
yeah.
They're
No,
saying
yeah,
you're doing things that are anti-godly, and so they're disgusting. They may not be saying anti-godly per se with those exact words,
right.
but all the things that we mentioned,
Yeah.
going after women, making for themselves a name, you know, uh, pulling people away from God, and that kind of thing. So that's what their excuses, quote unquote excuses, for doing what they're doing.
No, no. So right. So I think there's two separate things. I totally agree with you. Like I think sometimes their tochacha, their rebuke of us, of what we're not doing right, of how we're not following the Torah properly, that's coming from Hashem through them, and Hashem's using them as like a way to motivate us to do what we need to be doing and do teshuva. But I think also too, like there is the anti-Semites, and they're evil themselves, and they're just rebelling against Hashem, but they can't get to Hashem, so we're standing in the way, and they attack us, and that's why the Torah says many times, like when they attack you, they will also be punished for their averas. It's like their time's also going to come when they're wicked, and they're like Hamas's wicked actions, you know, like they're going to be punished. I mean, they have been punished, like Gaza's like just raised. I mean, their evil was punished. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have too much sympathy for the devil, right now. So since we started with July 4th, we have a little bit of time left. No, I do think it's interesting, right? I think the Jewish people do have a lot to be thankful for living in America. Like my family personally, we came from escaping the pogroms in Odessa, from the Cossacks and the Russians. And America, it has been peaceful, and there is, like, the First Amendment, there's a freedom of religion. And we can build shuls here and synagogues and yeshivas, and we have the religious freedom to learn Torah. But I think, unfortunately, and maybe because of all this, some of the bad influence from the Erev Rav and our surroundings, like I don't like, unfortunately, we haven't taken full advantage of that. We haven't taken full advantage of that we have the freedom to learn Torah and do the mitzvos.
Oh, we've assimilated into their culture,
Yeah,
and
like
so because of our willingness to leave our God and assimilate to their culture, that's why you might say that we haven't taken full advantage of it. But the people who stayed steadfast to the Torah and kept the commandments all along, they've used it. They've seen it as an advantage. They've seen it as a good thing that America got their independence from the British Empire, right? Because that's what is we know is July 4th, right? And it's very corollary to the 17th of Tammuz, which the Jews quote unquote left the Torah, and so Moses comes down the mountain and destroys the tablets,
Yeah.
right? He destroyed the tablets, like kind of like giving a hint, like you guys destroyed holiness just now by doing what you're doing, and so yeah, it's a double-edged sword like that you could use this independence, quote unquote, of this country for goodness to learn Torah, but instead you took it and you squandered the opportunity.
Yeah. No, so just to end on a positive note, we're getting close to the end here. No, I mean, Bezrat Hashem in the future, maybe soon that we go into the Yemot Mashiach, the days of Mashiach, the days of Messiah. But I believe there are midrashim that explain that the first set of tablets, the first set of the Sapphire tablets, eventually when like Amalek and the Erev Rav are driven out and eliminated from the Jewish people, that, in the golden calf, like you were saying, like our kapara, our atonement for the sin in the golden calf is finally done, that those first tablets can be rebuilt. So like Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses put them in the Ark of the Covenant, that somewhere, wherever it's hidden, the broken shards of that tablet are there. And in the future, we'll see, that first set of tablets repaired. And we can finally see it all, fixed and repaired. All right, we're about at the 2-minute warning. Any last words?
No, that's it. Just people keep learning, and they make a differentiation between things and not lump. It's easy to lump things in, categorize them in one felt swoop, but there's a lot of nuance, and I think people should take note of that nuance. If they listen to what we said in this video.
Yeah, no, and I think the more the Jewish people know about the Erev Rav and know about the bad qualities they have, it helps us avoid it more. It helps us more not fall into that trap of people that are working against the Torah, working against the Jewish people being close to Hashem. All right, should we wrap it up? I hope everyone enjoyed it. I should have said at the beginning, so hopefully you're still around. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. We want to hear your comments. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see the end of the Erev Rav soon. We'll see the Jewish people rise to prominence. We'll see Mashiach, and we'll see a world, where Hashem's name is one, and all is good. Any last words or? No, see it. We'll see you next time. See you soon. Well, and the gates of Mordehay and sweet good Torah.